Hey guys, it's Alex from Source. We're in Sydney, Australia, and we're in the RØDE Headquarters, joined by Ryan Burke, who is a product specialist at RØDE, and we're going to talk through the new Filmmaker Kit. So Ryan, give us a bit of an intro. What is the Filmmaker Kit? What is it comprised of? What does it do?
Sure. So very simply, the Filmmaker Kit is a wireless audio transmission system. So it just enables you to go completely wire-free and mount a lav mic, which it comes with.
Yep.
Initially, it'll come with the RØDE Broadcast lav and the mic on one, which enables you to connect it into the Filmmaker Kit. And you've got the belt pack transmitter, the camera-mounted receiver onto a cold shoe that'll plug directly into your camera and lets you go completely wire-free.
How does it work? How do you set it up?
So setting up the Filmmaker Kit is super simple. There is 8 different channels that you can choose from on the unit. Now within those 8 channels, there's thousands of combinations of frequencies, so you'll never have two kind of interfere with one another. So you hit the sync button on the receiver, you choose your channel, and then you press one button and bang, they lock like that, just in a couple of seconds. Yeah.
What's going on behind the scenes as well? Because I understand this is a digital system. What does that mean for us using it?
Cool. So the digital system is in the open spectrum. You don't need a license to use it. That's the great thing about it. Any territory in the world, so especially if you're a traveler and you're using wireless, you can use it anywhere without a license. Now what it's doing is actually hopping between frequencies. So the RØDELink system, what it does is it finds the clearest frequency and starts transmitting audio on it. At the same time, a second channel is constantly sweeping, finds the next clearest frequency, and it's always looking for the most quiet wireless frequency so that you get the most solid connection that you could possibly get.
Cool.
So that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes, and it's constantly hopping and moving rather than just transmitting on a single frequency, which may end up with interference. By hopping, it always stays on the clearest frequency.
So it's always trying to maintain a strong link. Because are there any sort of tips and tricks that you can give us about how to get the best use out of it? So if folks have bought Filmmaker Kits, how should they best set them up, and what's sort of good practice?
So you always have to start at the microphone end. The most important thing is always your mic position. You got to get your mic position right. You want to get nice proximity to the vocal, especially when you're using a lav.
Where should we put a mic, basically?
So if we use our own lav mics that we're using, for instance, kind of around the sternum, and the idea is that you pick the point that you get the nice crisp signal. So if you go too high, you'll start sounding a little bit rolled off. You go too low, it starts sounding really roomy and distant. So if you just listen while you set it up, each person might be a little bit different within a couple of inches, as you can notice with us. You find the most crisp position, and that's where you should set up your lav. From there, it's about the gain staging. So the RØDELink system is super simple. It's got tons of dynamic range, which means that you can actually set your gain very easily with one of 3 steps. We've got the 0, the +10, and the +20 on the transmitter. And what you do is you have a look on the receiver, and you will have a little level meter here. And as you set up the system, you'll see the levels coming up. You'll see if it peaks and it's too loud, so you know to bring it down a little bit. And once you've set that level up perfectly, you are basically ready to go. Then on the camera end of the system, we actually have attenuation on the pack. So the pack actually outputs a nice hot signal, and what that enables you to do, similar to our VideoMic Pro series, Stereo VideoMic X, whatnot, it sends out a hot signal so that you can bring down the preamp level on your camera. And what that enables you to do is actually turn down the noise with the preamp. So you actually get a lot cleaner audio on your camera than what you would anyway, because you're turning down the preamp, which has a lot of noise in it, running a nice hot signal with a RØDELink. If you're still a bit too hot, you can actually turn it down in 10 dB steps, so 10 or -20. And that's how you can get really nice clean audio with your RØDELink system.
So I understand there's like a few different digital systems on the market now. There's other choices out there. Can you give us an idea, how does the RØDE, how does what you've guys made compare to what else is out there?
Sure. So one of our big kind of R&D processes with the RØDELink system is that we wanted to make sure that we had the most robust system in its class altogether with digital wireless transmission. Now it is a spectrum where you have Wi-Fi, you have your microwave outputs a bit of 2.4 gig, and that's why the RØDELink system is constantly hopping and finding the clearest frequency. And in every test that we've done, we're far more robust than anything else in the market.
What sort of, if we're in an extremely Wi-Fi kind of noisy environment, how could that affect it? Is it possible to affect the signal? And is there anything that we should be aware of as we use it?
So the one thing to be aware of with any wireless audio system is that what happens is you just reduce your range. Think of it like shouting in a nightclub versus shouting in an open field. When you've got a lot of other people talking, it's a lot harder to hear each other. So what happens is it doesn't stop working, it just reduces in range. So it's the same as when you set your exposure on your camera. You always make sure you look at it, you check your exposure, you're not blown out. You should always check your gain staging with mics, and when you're using wireless, you should always have a listen, make sure that you've got a nice solid connection before you actually start recording.
Do you have any tips for folks who wouldn't normally be able to monitor on DSLRs? How could you best monitor this thing? Is there a way of doing that?
Yeah, so the great thing with the RØDELink system is you actually have level meters on the transmitter itself, so you can watch the levels. Often on DSLR cameras you'll actually have your metering as well. The first thing is to just make sure that you've got a nice robust signal coming in, that you can see your levels bouncing, and then it's about to maximize it. If you've got line of sight, you've got far better transmission than if you're trying to transmit through brick walls, for instance. You've just got to try to think of it in terms of how many things you're putting between a kit. And this is all wireless across the board. This is best practice. So line of sight, if you are in a super high traffic environment, perhaps put the pack on the front instead of the back, and then that's going to give you a lot clearer. And then also the orientation of the unit. So you've actually got 2 antennas in each unit which live across the front here. So if you're on a camera, it's already preset to the best possible position.
So it is kind of forward focused in that way. But yet, are they sort of crisscrossing each other so they have a kind of 3D
so they're kind
spread?
of dual diversity. So you've got 2 different angles of transmitter so that it's getting the best possible pickup from all angles. And in the same with the transmission, you've got 2 different angles where it's throwing it out.
With the input, because obviously you get the RØDE Lav with it, are there other mics that we can put into that little 3.5mm? What's kind of going on with that input?
Yeah, well, the thing that we wanted to do with RØDELink is make it open for a ton of different uses. Now, often with wireless packs, there's a bespoke connector that you have to buy, a specific connector. The nice thing with this, it's a standard 3.5. We've got a lock-in connector on our Micon 1 so that you can actually get the most secure connection possible. You screw it in and you can actually lock it down. But you could connect a video mic to it. You can connect basically any 3.5mm device straight into the transmitter and it will work.
Can you connect like line level stuff? Could you use it as a kind of line level transmitter?
You sure can. So you can use the transmitter with any source up to +2 dBu. What that means is that a standard line output device running at -10 dBu will be well within the dynamic range of the unit.
Loud,
If you have to run at +4 dBu line level, it's fine as long as you're not right up near the clip level of your line. So you can actually use it, not only just with mic level, you can use it with line level as well.
That's wicked. So does it use like internal batteries? Is there a kind of special battery type, or do we have to charge them or something like that?
No, so what we wanted to do is make sure that it's the simplest unit possible, and in that everybody has the AA batteries available. It's the most commonly available battery in the world, so we wanted to make it so that you could use the unit with AA batteries, you can use it with rechargeables, and the nice thing is that even with a pair of AA's, you're getting super good battery life. So a standard pair of alkalines, you're going to get about 8 hours usage out of it. If you've got a nice pair of lithium batteries, you're going to get upwards of 15 to 18 hours out of it with a good set.
Well over like a full day.
Totally. I mean, you're not going to be changing batteries all the time on a shoot. And the nice thing is that the receiver, actually has battery status shown on the screen. It also shows you the mute status of the unit. You can unmute the transmitter with the receiver and mute the transmitter with the receiver if you like. So if you see something strange going up on stage, you can just go hit the button there and actually mute the unit. You can mute lock the transmitter as well. So say you're doing a kid's play or something like that and you're worried that they're going to go, what's that button for, and hit the mute button, you can actually lock it off so that it can't be muted from the transmitter.
Talk me through, there's a little USB port on the side. What's that used for?
So the USB port is on the side of both the transmitter and the receiver, and that's so that you can power it from any USB source. So it just runs a standard micro USB, and the nice thing is that there's so many different little external battery packs available now that you can get to charge your phone and whatnot. Even running it off a USB power source of a computer or a laptop, anything like that, if you're doing a simpler setup, you can actually power it off USB.
Does it need a lot of voltage from the little USB port, or will it work with
standard USB? Every USB power source will be able to power that. It's a standard 5-volt USB.
Cool. Say we wanted to have multiple kind of transmitters and receivers. Presumably we can't have multiple transmitters going to the one receiver box, but can we have multiple systems, or how would that work?
Yeah, sure. So you can actually use up to 8 RØDELink systems in the same space. Now, you can't use multiple transmitters with one receiver, but what you can do is mount a couple of receivers in close proximity to one another and actually use them. It's simple, even into something like a DSLR camera, to get a 3.5mm cable that'll split out left and right and run them both in at the same time, perhaps on a hot shoe kind of bar to mount them. A ton of different options you can use.
They then go to like both left and right and record it separately.
And then that way you'll have an isolated channel left and right,
You could presumably also set up, so if you wanted like a Video Mic Pro on top, And then like this in like the left or the right channel, you could have like a dual system.
Totally. Yeah, if you wanted scratch audio on your camera on the left channel from a VideoMic Pro or a VideoMic or anything like that, and then run a lav at a distance, you could totally do that just with a splitter cable.
So see, it's got like a 3.5mm connector on the side. What if we want to stick this into like a professional recorder, or if we've got a camera with proper XLR inputs? Are we stuck? Do we need to? How do we do that basically?
So for a long time, we've actually had the RØDE VXLR adapter out in the market. Now we designed this initially to use with the VideoMic series, which have a standard 3.5mm output. The nice thing is that if you want to plug the RØDELink into an XLR input, you can use the VXLR adapter, and then that way you can use it with basically any camera or external recorder at all.
Works totally fine.
Yeah.
That's wicked. Thanks very much, Ryan. If people have questions, though, who should they contact? How can they get in touch with you guys?
So they can hit us up on social media if they want to tweet at RØDE Mics, or they can just go to the website, rode.com, and there's tons of info on there.
Wicked. Thanks very much for your time.
All right. Thank you, Alex.
Cheers.